Okay, let's get this meeting started. We're going to conduct the people's business today, so let's get this meeting started. So at this time, I'm going to welcome everybody to the Montclair City Council meeting, and we'll begin with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask to introduce those members.
Tonight's invocation will be given by Josh Matlock, police chaplain and pastor of Bethany of Montclair, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Martinez.
Perfect. Please stand.
Let's pray. Father, we just lift up your name tonight and pray and ask that you would just watch over this meeting and this city, Lord. As we just hear chanting even in the back, just pray, Lord, for peace. We pray for wisdom for our council as they navigate all the waters before them tonight. Lord, we thank you so much, though, for this city. We thank you for our wonderful peace officers who keep this place well protected. We pray that you would just bless our officers and all of our first responders in the city to keep them safe, help them to just be able to help us to stay safe as a city. And we pray for their families, that you would bless them as they serve this city as well. And Lord, we pray for wisdom and grace tonight, and we lift up the city to you and ask that you be glorified here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we will now go to
Roll call.
roll call.
Councilmember Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez. Councilmember Rue.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I'm here.
Mayor Dutray.
I'm present. Okay, we have three presentations this evening, and we'll start with the police department. I'm going to ask the chief to come up and make the introduction, please.
We were waiting for the cue.
Hi, good evening, council and city staff, city manager Starr. You may notice some extra police officers in the room tonight. That's because they're here to show their support for a promotee and a new police officer. So the first officer I'll call up to the front is Officer, now Sergeant, Nicholas Sanchez. Sergeant Nick Sanchez was born and raised in the city of Upland. After high school, he joined the United States Coast Guard, where he served as a mechanical engineer. After the Coast Guard, he attended the University of Laverne, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in sociology. After several years working as a licensed health agent for the state of California, he decided to pursue his true dream, and that was becoming a law enforcement officer. Sergeant Sanchez has been employed by the city of Montclair as a police officer since 2019. Since then, he's been a part of not only patrol, but the special enforcement team, or the SET team, major accident investigation team, a coveted field training officer, a member of the Explorer Advisor, the Explorer program, firearms instructor, an active shooter training team instructor as well. So not only does he work patrol, he's chosen to do a lot of ancillary duties as well. So I commend Sergeant Sanchez for taking on this tremendous responsibility of supervising police officers. It's one of the most rewarding jobs in the police field. You're doing great so far, and we look forward to the leadership you provide on each shift out there. So with that, I congratulate the promotion of Officer Nicholas Sanchez to Sergeant Nicholas Sanchez.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll go on to our next presentation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have one more, I'm sorry. Yep. If I may now call to the front new officer, Adrian Anguiano. Officer Adrian Anguiano was born in Pomona, but he grew up in the great city of Montclair. Both of his parents migrated here from Mexico, and we were lucky that they joined us in the Inland Empire, and they met in the Inland Empire, and they brought us Adrian to be one of our newest police officers. Growing up, Officer Anguiano was an avid soccer player. He played soccer his entire life. He had aspirations to be a pro soccer player. And also in growing up, he attended our own Serrano Middle School, Montclair High School. But it wasn't until one day at lunch, one of our sergeants was on campus recruiting for our Explorer program, and he ended up having a conversation with Adrian, and we talked him out of being a soccer player. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't talk him out of anything, but he decided to join our Explorer program. And that was in 2019. When he reached the young age of 19 years old, he applied for police cadet at our police department, which is a part-time position. Of course, he was successful in that. And as a cadet, he was a very proactive and dependable professional cadet for us. He also went on ride-alongs, located stolen vehicles, a ton of different responsibilities. He's very active, and you could tell it was his dream to become a police officer. So when that time arose, and on September 25th of 2023, he successfully tested for a police officer, began the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Academy. Recently, on March 7th, he graduated class of 234. And Adrian Anguiano is yet another success story of our Explorer program, cadet program, a member of our community here in Montclair. And I know he's very proud of himself. His family is very proud of him. So welcome aboard and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
The next item is proclamation to declare April 2024 as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Do we have someone here to receive the proclamation? Come on up. I just want to say, whereas on April 2024 has been proclaimed here in the city of Montclair as Child Abuse Prevention Month, obviously also by the state and federal governments for the purpose of promoting community involvement in preventing child abuse. All children have the right to receive the care, protection, and guidance a family provides. They have the right to be free from harm and to have their physical, emotional, and educational needs met. So again, on behalf of the City Council and myself, City of Montclair declares Child Abuse Prevention Month in April 2024. I'd like to present you the proclamation. You want to say something?
I would just like to real quick thank the City of Montclair for their support and always jumping right on the bandwagon to get whatever we need going for Child Abuse Prevention Month and keeping families safe. Over 30,000 referrals were made to Children and Family Services throughout San Bernardino County, and only 358 came from this great city. So we really notice the work, recognize what you guys are doing, and really appreciate everything you do to support families so that we can keep our kids safe.
Great. Thank you very much. And the last presentation is by the Montclair Chamber of Commerce, presentation of the annual donation to the Montclair Community Foundation for a very important program, the Montclair to College program that a lot of Montclair high school students are participants of. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Dutray, council, and staff. My name is Steve Hammett, board chair, Montclair Chamber of Commerce. As you may know, the Chamber of Commerce focuses on small businesses and supporting them. However, the Chamber team also is concerned about the youth of Montclair community. That is why I'm here today. It is my privilege to present a check to the City of Montclair for the benefit of Montclair Community Foundation to support the Montclair to College program. As some of you know, the program provides high school graduates with two years of free college. It is my hope that some of these students may become business owners, and we can support them and you can support them. If that happens, we're here to help them, and I know the city, along with the Montclair Chamber of Commerce, is going to do that. So, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff, please accept this check for $1,876.76.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the city council on either the consent calendar items or any items that not on the agenda within the preview of the city of Montclair. So at this time, I'm going to ask the city clerk, before that, anybody who wants to speak, there's a white card. You have to fill out the white card. If you haven't fill out one already, and you'll provide that to Michael. Mike, raise your hand, because as soon as we start, we're not going to accept any more speaking cards. So we'll wait. Anybody else want to submit speaking card? This is the time to submit it right now. If you want to get cards, you got to submit them right now. Okay, everybody's got a card. Submit it. We're good? All right.
He's filling them out. We're actually out of cards.
I'm sorry?
We're actually out of cards.
Okay.
He's filling one out for 2 people.
Okay,
Or
as soon as
someone's
he
still-
fills them out, we'll start. And if you could let me know how many people want to speak on a consent calendar item, and how many how many cards total, and how many want to speak on consent calendar item.
So far, I've only seen one for consent calendar items. One is for a neighborhood situation.
Neighborhood situation, okay.
So 26 are related to the ceasefire resolution.
We have 26. I realize that we have a crowd in here, and this is a public meeting. We are conducting the people of Montclair's business in here. So, if there's noise, I'm going to ask you to please go outside. So, we have a total of 26 cards and 28 cards. Am I correct? Okay, and we have 2 cards. One is related to consent calendar items, and you said the second one was to a neighborhood issue? Okay, so because of the number of cards we have here, and we got to conduct business here, I think it'd be appropriate this evening that we limit the public comment to 2 minutes. Is my council colleagues okay with that? 2 minutes for this evening?
Yes.
2 minutes? Okay, that's city attorney, we're appropriate? And then I would like to do is, what we're going to do is, I want to start with the person who has the business items of consent calendar. Have that person speak first. And then after that, we're going to take action on the consent calendar. And then after that, we'll go into public comments. Yeah, we just have, let me see, communications. Any significant communications today? No. No city attorney closed session items. So after that, we will go into public comments, and then we'll start, the second person will be the person with a neighborhood issue. Okay? All right. So why don't you go ahead and we're gonna, actually, I'm gonna bring up the consent calendar right now with the council's consent. Start consent calendar, and I'm gonna ask that the city clerk to introduce the individual regarding the consent calendar items.
Okay, Xavier Mendez would like to speak on items B2, C1, and C3.
Okay, C2,
B2, C1, C3.
okay, thank you.
E as in boy.
Okay, Xavier, I think you want to talk about items B2, C1, and C3, am I correct?
Yeah, just a few items.
All right,
First
it's all
off, just
yours.
want to say congratulations to the new police officers, and then thank you for seeing me up here, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council, city staff. Just a couple of things to talk about or ask questions. One, the new purchase of the 3 Ford Explorers, which is obviously, it's very necessary to get new vehicles for the police officers. Something we did a while ago, I don't know if you can do it now, because now I know that the Explorers are a vehicle that they've been using a lot more of. Maybe instead of sending them to auction to get $1,500 or $2,500, keep 1 or 2 of them to use for parts. We did that back in, the early 2000s, and we actually saved thousands, 3 or 4 times the amount that the vehicle we received the money in. But just something to think about. And if you have any questions, I can explain it a little bit better. Second was the approval of the agreement 2422, amending the agreement for the Inland Valley Humane Society. I was just reading through it, and it just seems like it's gone up quite a bit from the last time. Just wondering, I had a few questions about it, and those are, do we have a number of like how many dog and cat licenses are renewed every year, the actual numbers? I know there's an amount in there that they say is about $142,000 or $150,000 annually, but just wondering how many there are. And then how many stray animals are actually picked up by the Humane Society each year in Montclair, and how many deceased animals are picked up? Because there's times that I see some out there, and I remember having to call them, and it didn't, they didn't respond as quickly as I thought. Third, I noticed that they do a canvas every now and then. I'm just wondering how often they do it, every other year, every 3 years? And then the last question is if we can understand like what the annual cost has been over the last 5 years, just to have an idea of what it was at that time. And then the last thing is just about the San Antonio Channel and the Pacific Electric Bike Trail and Holt. I know those are those issues have been problems for years, and hopefully this will help, and I hope that it does, but look forward to seeing what happens with that. Other than that, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have no other speakers on the consent calendar items, so what I'd like to do is ask my colleagues in the right if they have anything they want to pull off the consent calendar.
Did you, Bill?
No, not this evening.
Mr. Mayor, just the Humane Society matter.
C1, okay, how about my left? Anybody want to pull something off the left?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, C like Charles 3, please.
C3, okay. Nobody else? All right, we'll start with item C1 on the Humane Society.
Xavier actually hit on my questions and my points that I was going to raise. I'd like to see, I was hoping maybe a representative from the Humane Society would be here tonight. Could we invite them to do a presentation, please, so they can address the shared costs from all the cities that partake in their contract and their services? Because I have had residents complain about long response times, and many times staffing tell them to hold the animal and we'll be there, but it's several hours afterwards. So I understand costs are going up everywhere. They're asking for a little bit of additional money, which is fine, but I'd like some answers, please, with respect to their staffing levels, their response levels. The questions that Xavier posed are ones that I was going to ask as well. Thank you, Xavier. So anyhow, that's my only issue with the item.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we can certainly invite them to make a presentation, but I do need to point out that there are 2 separate issues here. One is the quality of the service, and that is something that certainly the city council members can question. The other item is in relation to the cost of the contract. So this is merely a transition from the way the cost applied to municipal agencies has been applied in the past. The Humane Society, at least in recent years, has presumed a minimum of $150,000 in earnings related to their licensing and/or their canvassing program, as Mr. Mendez had pointed out. The Humane Society has made the determination that basing their formula as it applies to what they're charging the cities via granting each agency a specific predetermined amount, for example, in our case, $150,000, was not necessarily working in their benefit. They came to the conclusion that they were fronting money instead of grabbing it from the cities first. So the transition here is to say that in the case of Montclair, we're generating $148,000 in annual license fees, which is only $2,000 shy of the $150,000 that they were giving us credit for. And then they were charging us for the actual cost of services. Now what they're doing is saying they want to charge us the actual gross cost of services first, and then based on the actual earnings that the city makes through their licensing programs and any fees related to fines or other issues related to the administration of the contract with the city, they would deduct that from the gross. So the actual cost is about the same. Current contract year is about $285,000, which is what we pay the Humane Society over an annual basis on monthly payments. And as indicated in the agenda report, they're indicating that after they deduct the actual collection of fees and any for licensing and any fees related to issues related to animal control, the cost to the city would be about $282,000. So it's really negligible. There's not really an increase. It appears that there is an increase because of that $425,000 number that's reflected in the proposed contract. But when you deduct out of that the numbers that the city will get credited for in the end based on the fees that are collected by the Humane Society, it will come out to about the same annual amount.
And are we being charged a flat rate, or every participating city charged a flat rate, or is it just basically on licensing of pets?
So it'll be on the licensing, you'll get credit for the actual amount that is collected. For the rest of it, there is a formula that the Humane Society determines based on their cost of operations, and then they divide that based on the level of service that each city has contracted for and what their experience is with the respective cities, and then they determine what that cost is to each of the member cities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Manager.
Great, thank you. And I think Councilmember Denise Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a really quick question for staff. In reading the staff report, paragraph 5, there's some discussion about
Which item are you on?
I'm sorry, it's B like boy, excuse me, C like Charles 3.
What is the issue? I'm sorry.
The issue is the consider approval of agreement number 2424 with Biggs Cardozo Associates for design services associated with Hope Boulevard and the Pacific Electric Trail Bridge project. So my question is in paragraph 5, I just need some clarification. What exactly is going to be put in underneath those bridges? It says a lightweight cellular concrete fill, and then later it says precast concrete panels, but I'm not quite exactly sure what that looks like. Are there large clumps of concrete to keep people from lying or sitting there? What exactly is going to be under there?
Okay, before Mrs. Radia comments, I want to say that this has not been determined yet. I have the same concerns, particularly as it relates to the Pacific Electric Bike Trail. In my opinion, there are some riparian interests that are related to water underflow below the bridge, so obviously it cannot be paneled off completely. There has to be an allowance for water flow in that particular area. So I think we need to give Briggs Cardozo an opportunity to look at that. These were initial recommendations that they thought would be necessary to address the problems, particularly as it relates to Hope Boulevard, where we have homeless encampments that occur under the bridges. We also have them under the bridge at the Pacific Electric Bike Trail, not necessarily to the same degree, particularly since it's easier to clear them out. but under Holt bridges, it is much more difficult because of the depth of the bridges, the confined spaces that the individuals get into. And so in these particular locations, we're actually looking at complete barriers that do not allow individuals to get in there, except for access ports for the Army Corps of Engineer, for the city, or whatever other entity needs to get under the bridge to inspect the bridge to make certain that it maintains standard qualification requirements. But as far as the Pacific Electric Bike Trail Bridge, that is a separate issue that still needs to be determined, and staff will certainly be addressing that as indicated in the agenda report with multiple meetings with Briggs Cardoza.
Yeah, and he pretty much answered your question, I think, so.
Thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Yeah, and I appreciate this project here because I know this is a need, long overdue, and I appreciate staff getting this rolling. I know it's a design, but we got to take care of these two issues we have here. So anybody else, any comments? If not, can I get a motion for approval on the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion for the consent calendar as presented this evening.
I'll second.
Okay, let's have electronic vote. And electronic vote should be in. And that is now adopted 5-0. Okay, now we go back to public comment, and I believe we had a resident complaint, a neighbor complaint.
Yes, this would be Kayla.
Okay. Come on up. Don't be relaxed. Okay. U.S. Postal Service. I like the U.S. Postal Service. Did a great job.
Good evening, Mayor and all of the staff. I lived in Montclair for about 12 years. I've worked in Montclair for 17. My dad was a barber in this town for over 30 years at Mr. G's until he passed away. And he was proud to live and work in Montclair, as am I. The last couple of years, we have had a rehab/halfway house move in on our street, a couple houses down from mine. I have never felt unsafe in my house until now. At this house, they say that they help people off of drugs or help with the homelessness situation. I myself am a recovering alcoholic of 10 years. I know that it's hard, and I know the steps it takes to get sober, and I myself volunteer on Skid Row weekly and try to help our less fortunate brothers and sisters as much as I can. There's a huge difference between helping a situation and accommodating them. We have had a fire start from a person that lived there that was disgruntled and got kicked out. We have also had people coming up and down our streets that are severely on drugs, and not to mention this is right across the street from a school where children play even when school hours are not in session. On Saturday morning at 1:30 a.m., I had a knock on my door and somebody ring the doorbell excessively. This person went around the side of my gate, tried to open my gate to come in, then came back around to my front door, tried to open my door to get in, started pounding and ringing my doorbell until he could get in. I then called 911. They sat the gentleman down on the curb, and the only thing he said was, "I'm looking for the rehab house." They arrested him because he was clearly under the influence. This is not the first time somebody has come to one of our houses screaming and yelling, wrapped in sleeping bags, not of their right state of mind, looking for this quote-unquote rehab house. This house has brought nothing but problems to what once was a little safe community. I no longer feel safe in my home, and I don't think that it's okay. I work very hard at my job, and I truly...
And I apologize, I have to interrupt you. 2 minutes is up. Michael, can you meet with her and get her information, address, and then have look into the situation and let the city council know what's going on? Can you do that? Yeah. Oh. Okay. What's the name of the street? What's the street name? Okay. Once you meet with her, please, and then we will Yeah, I apologize the time shortage today, but and Mike, if you can, or Eddie, you guys can send us an email, tell us what's going on, situation, I appreciate that.
Well, we will certainly do that, although I do have to advise the council that when it comes to these sorts of facilities, the city has very
I
little
understand that.
authority in relation to
Yeah,
licensing.
Ed, I understand that. I just want you guys to meet with her, tell us what's going on in the email address, explain the situation, and then we have a better idea what's happening out there, what we can do. That's all. All right, so now we will go on, we are still on public comment, excuse me, and before we go on to more speakers, and I know there's a large amount of speakers that want to speak on one particular topic, which frankly, we don't have any jurisdictions over. But I want to state a couple things here. First of all, I want you to make sure that we're going to run this meeting with decorum, which means everybody respects everybody, because I know there'll be a difference of opinion in this room, and there's no heckling, there's no booing. We're going to respect everybody's views, the points here. I do want to state this. This is under California law. Any person who makes such remarks, who utters loud, threatening, personal, or abusive language, or engages in any other disorderly conduct that disrupts or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of this meeting of the legislative body, including but not limited to addressing the legislative body without being recognized, repetitively addressing the same subject, or failing to relinquish the podium where request and do so, shall, at the discretion myself, the presiding officer, be barred from further audience before the legislative body during the meeting. So if we have people disrupting, I'm going to give everybody warnings. And if they continue to disrupt, then you'll be asked to not leave these council chambers and also to have to leave this building. Again, I ask you to respect that. And we will, again, adhere to the 2 minutes, and I'll have the city clerk start the process.
Right, our first speaker is Jessica Gaetan.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community. My name is Jessica Gaetan, and I am a lifelong resident of Montclair. I graduated from Montclair High School and then went on to study at Princeton University. I'm a community advocate for labor rights, immigrant rights, environmental justice, and LGBTQ+ rights here in the Pomona Valley. As someone who deeply cares about social justice and human rights, the ongoing genocide and occupation of the Gaza Strip has been heavy on my mind and spirit for the past 6 months. Therefore, I am here tonight to ask for the City Council to agendize and pass a ceasefire resolution. Since October 7th, the Israeli government has killed over 32,000 Palestinians and destroyed their social infrastructure. Hospitals, libraries, schools, mosques, churches, government buildings, roads, and thousands of homes have been obliterated. There are still thousands buried under the rubble, diseases are rapidly spreading due to lack of clean water and sanitary supplies, and starvation is rampant. This morning, I woke up to news about the aftermath of the siege of Al-Shifa Hospital, which made up 30% of Gaza's healthcare capacity. 300 Palestinians, including healthcare workers, have been executed, crushed, and charred beyond recognition. A few weeks ago, I learned about the flour massacre, where hungry Palestinians were snapped after congregating around a truck full of flour. Multiple times, Palestinians were told to flee to the south, where they would be safe, only to be met by bombs and snipers. These atrocities are being funded by our federal tax dollars. Here in Montclair, approximately $362,000 tax dollars fund Israel weapons. Think about all the different public projects that could be funded instead. More green spaces, safer streets for pedestrians, harm reduction, public housing, and so much more. Please listen to your constituents. Montclair residents are against hate, violence, and systems of oppression. I trust that you will use your leadership to stand against violence and stand up for humanity. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Chanel Rivas.
Hello, my name is Chanel Rivas, and I'm a resident in the city of Montclair. About 2 days ago, I saw a video among the Montclair City Council saying that if there's not enough Montclair residents who are talking about this matter, then there's nothing to do about it. Well, that is wrong. Because there are about more than 20 people in here, including me, who are local Montclair residents and are in support of Palestine, against the ethnic cleansing of their people, and against the genocide Israel is creating. This matter exists outside of Montclair, and that should not mean we should turn a blind eye to it. We should never turn to a blind eye when there is families, little children, and babies dying at the hands of the Israeli government. It's something no human being should ever turn their backs from. It's inhumane for us to not talk about this ongoing genocide. All 6 of you, including the mayor of Montclair, should be ashamed to stand by the words that was said. No matter how many of the Montclair locals who are not here today and who are not speaking about this should not be erased from the fact that this genocide is happening, and it's something to not pass over. I'm a Montclair resident, and I am not proud of that video and what was said in that video. Free Palestine, ceasefire now.
Thank you.
All right, the next speaker is Joshua Mercia.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members, and community. My name is Joshua Mercia, and I'm here as a concerned American and voice for the American youth. I'm here to ask the Mayor and City Council members to adopt a resolution for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. As a person who has many friends with families suffering in Gaza, it pains me to hear the horrors and atrocities being committed daily. We cannot just sit here, enjoy life at home, and relax when there are children dying every day when we can make a difference. I hope that my words today will touch your hearts and you'll choose to do the right thing. And if nothing comes from today, at least awareness will spread. Thank you for your time, and free Palestine.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Drusilla? Drusilla? Isn't that right? Drusilla? Oh, there you are.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Priscilla Gonzalez. I am a 17-year-old student attending Montclair High. I was born and raised in Montclair, California. My parents immigrated over 30 years from Mexico to California in hopes for a better life. But as the years passed by, that was never the case. Over the last few years, my family and I, as well as other citizens in my neighborhood, have not felt safe in our own city. From the screaming and yelling in the middle of the day to the shootings and sirens going off all night. And while we are all suffering in our own ways, how can we ignore what's going on in Palestine? I choose not to be silenced because I demand justice for Palestine. Palestine belongs to the Arabs in the same sense that England belongs to English or France to the French. The time has come to end the suffering and the plight of millions of Palestine refugees in the homeland, to end their displacement and to realize their rights, some of them forced to take refuge more than once in different places of the world. I believe the land of Palestine will be returned to the owners of the land with the help of God. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed and suffered brutally in the Israel-Hamas war. More than 30,000 people have lost their futures in the hands of their friends and family, and for what cause? I demand to cease fires for Palestine and save our people and our children. May God be with us all and help us free the people and help our fellow Montclair citizens, with the help of our Montclair citizens along with other states and countries. Free the children, and I demand to cease fires. Thank you.
Brianna B.
Hello. My name is Brianna Barron. Thank you for your time, Mayor, County, city members, staff, and the community. I want you to see the people behind us, the urgency in our voice, the emotion in our bodies. We are calling for a ceasefire. I want you to think about your children. If you do not have children, I want you to think about your family. There are people in Gaza, people in Palestine that are losing their family, losing their kids. They are starving, they are searching for food, and when they find that food, they are bombed and sniped. Think about your family, think about your children if you do have them. These families and these people are being murdered on a daily. While you are sitting here, while you're doing your work, while we are living our daily lives, people are dying, people are murdering. I hope that you see the urgency and you listen to us. I hope that you open your hearts and see that this is much more than a political issue, but something that is a humanity issue and something that we all need to be listening to. And I hope that you use your position to not be complicit in this genocide by adding a resolution for a ceasefire on the agenda. You are not being complicit. You are standing up and saying that you do not support murdering children, that you do not support the genocide in Gaza, that you are human, that you are listening to your city, not only your city, but people who are using their time to just come here and talk to you and be here and show the support for Gaza and Palestine, which I think goes to show how important this is for us and a lot of other people. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you open your hearts and listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Destiny Rodella.
Is she here?
Destiny?
Not, we'll go to the next speaker.
Destiny Rodella.
Let's have the next speaker. We probably should do two speakers. Let's announce two in advance so people know. So we
Okay.
got Destiny and, well, Destiny's not here, so who's the next speaker?
Okay. Lila Ortiz, and then after that will be Teresa Aversa.
Okay, you have Lila? Is Lila here? No?
Lila?
No? All right, next speaker.
Okay, so Teresa Aversa, and then Oscar Palafox Jr.
Okay, I think this is Teresa coming up.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members, and my community. My name is Teresa Aversa, and I'm a resident in Montclair. Pushing this urgent issue and calling for a permanent ceasefire to happen. For over 75 years, the Palestinians have been under an occupation and genocide. We are 5 months, almost 6 months, starting April 6th, watching this genocide of innocent lives. And as of today, over 32K have been martyred. As for those that don't see this as an urgent concern, a famous comedian named Bassam Youssef was countering the debate that Hamas is using their civilians as human meat shields, and how that excuse is an absurd one. If that was the case, if someone close to you was being held in a hostage situation, the police would simply kill both the hostage and the perpetrator instead of negotiating or planning. Why is it all right for Israel to do this, and why is the U.S. funding this? The U.S. is giving $4 billion a year of taxes to Israel, and as a taxpayer, I'd rather my money go to better causes, especially in the U.S., such as homelessness, health insurance, or public schooling. This is urgent, and your residents are seeing that, so please see it for yourself. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Oscar, and then next will be Alejandra.
Okay, Oscar.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Oscar Palafox. Hello, Mayor and City Council members and community. My name is Oscar Palafox Jr. I am here to ask you to adopt a resolution for a ceasefire today. I said 2 million Palestinian people in Gaza are living through genocide in real time as Israel bombs, starves, and displaces them. The Israel military have been bombing Gaza since October 7th, 2023. Free Palestine. Right.
Thank you.
All right, Alejandra, and then Marie Lemos.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. My name is Alejandra. So today I heard that you guys are declaring April as the Children Awareness against, what was it? Against Child Abuse Awareness. So how can we as a city say that we, want to protect kids, and then we don't mean that for everybody? Yeah, it's awful what's happening, and One thing I remember you guys saying was that one of the rights of children is proper education. We are not learning about real facts and history in school. This is something that the kids should be learning about in school. So yeah, really stand by what you say. You know, you want to prevent child abuse. Let's prevent a genocide by, you know, just having a resolution to say we're against, you know, a genocide. We want a ceasefire. We want aid to go in. That would really back up your claim of we're against child abuse. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Next is Marie Lemos, followed by Benjamin Wood.
Hi, Mayor and City
Hello.
Council members and community. My name is Marie. I'm here to ask the Mayor and City Councilor to adopt a resolution for the permanent ceasefire now in Gaza. As a person who wants to help make a difference and stand up and show support, I feel really bad for the kids that are suffering in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, Benjamin Wood, and then Zion Vasquez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, our city staff, and our beloved community. My name is Benjamin Wood. I've been living here in Montclair about 15 years, and I came and spoke to you about this issue about a month ago. So I think you know where my family and I stand on that issue. I just want to come back today to support these youth. It was amazing to see them sharing their musical talents. They're very talented musicians and organizers. Also, one of the things that I really appreciate about student activism is the way that they approach social issues. They approach it through learning. They're in school, that's what they do. And you could hear the way that they share their, not just their opinions and their passion, but also facts. They've done their research. It's beautiful to see. I just wanted to share also, this is a very holy time, as you know. The Christian community just celebrated Easter. We're wrapping up Ramadan, and of course, Passover just ended. And I just want to remind you, I'm not sure where you all stand, but Pope Francis took advantage of the Easter holiday to also issue a call for a ceasefire. He asked us to not yield to the logic of weapons and rearming, and he said that peace is never made with arms, but with outstretched hands and open hearts. And he says, I appeal once again that access to humanitarian aid be ensured to Gaza, and call once more for the prompt release of the hostages seized on the 7th October, and for an immediate ceasefire in the Strip. And also the Churches for Middle East Peace, which is an organization which I donate to, just issued a letter to not only to the Biden administration, but to the world leaders around the world. It was signed by leaders from, it was a U.S. Catholic bishop, a Catholic cardinal, presiding bishop of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the Episcopal Church, the Anglican dean, numerous figures from the Catholic, Lutheran, Mennonite, Quaker, and evangelical leaders. Their point is the same as the one that I was making last week. Peace is the way forward, and we call on your leadership now. Thank you.
All right, next is Zion Vasquez, followed by Indy Harrison.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. My name is Zion Vasquez, and I'm a speaker for the youth, and I am here to ask the City Council and Mayor to adopt a resolution for permanent ceasefire now in Gaza. As a person who has Palestinian friends, I demand ceasefire for the children's lives you are taking and the women you are raping and everyone else in that country. It is urgent for you as a council to see that these are issues, and you may think that we don't care just because we're kids, but actually we do care. And thank you for your consideration. Free Palestine.
Thank you.
Next is Indy Harrison, followed by Jonathan Santamaria.
Hi, Mayor and City Council members and community. My name is Indy, and I'm a resident in Montclair, and I am here to ask the Mayor and City Council members to adopt a resolution for a permanent ceasefire now in Gaza. As a person who cares for people who are suffering and dying and wants to see a difference with what's happening to Gaza, I'm here to support Free Palestine.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Jonathan Santamaria. I've lived in Montclair most of my life. I'm a teacher of the Mountain View School District, and it's very difficult to be in the classroom when we hear shootings in schools and stuff like that. But this school year, it's been particularly difficult because we have to explain kids that their lives matter. Some, they see clearly how Israel is killing kids and how Israel don't care about kids. I cry when they ask me things about, the news, that what happens. It's very hard to explain to them that thousands of kids they're just trash. It's very hard. I don't know how, I'm very proud of these kids. I found them on the street right here doing noise, and I said, I need to be with them. It's also hard when we see that even though the United Nations issued a declaration for ceasefire, Israel just burns their hospital and kills everybody and runs with their tanks and digs the bodies and smooshes them everywhere. And then I have to say something in the classroom every period. It's just unbearable. And my city doesn't have a stand. I get emails from the companies that we use. They're from Peridec, from Google, from different other companies that say, we stand for a ceasefire, the whole rhetoric, I get a stand from the church. I get a stand from, but the city doesn't have a stand. That is shameful. Free Palestine.
All right, next is Ashton and then Hannah Wu.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members, and community. My name is Ashton, and I'm here as a Montclair citizen. I'm here to ask the Mayor and City Council members to adopt a resolution for permanent ceasefire now in Gaza. As a person who deeply cares about everyone's life, including especially the children that don't have a choice in what is done to them. I ask to cease fire. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Next is Anna Wu, followed by Kenneth T.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Wu. I'm here to ask the mayor and council to adopt a resolution for a permanent ceasefire now in Gaza. As a person who loves others, it hurts me to see millions of lives in danger in current time. Imagine if a close relative or friend was in Gaza right now. Imagine your child, your mother, your closest friend starved, bombed, and raped. This is the reality of millions of people in Gaza. Staying neutral about the situation is truly just sickening to me, especially when we can make a change. We as a community hope that the U.S. stops funding Israel and the attack on millions of Palestinians. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to ask once again to please adopt a permanent resolution to ceasefire now in Gaza.
Thank you.
Next is Kenneth T., followed by Jesus Morchel.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Kenneth, and I'm here today to ask you to pass a ceasefire resolution calling for an end to the genocide in Gaza. And I just want to start today by saying that I am truly inspired by the amount of youth and young people from your city who showed up today to demand their elected officials to act on an issue that is near and dear to their hearts. These youth, along with myself and all of us here, are here to speak out for Palestine, for justice, and for all the lives of men, women, and children who've been lost in Gaza and those who've been starved or displaced from their homes. And this right here is a city issue because members of your community have shown that they're willing to take the time out to come here and speak to you, to voice their concerns, and that they care about this issue. Your job as city council members is to listen and respond to the concerns of your community because you work for them. You are public servants and you are accountable to everyone in this room. And the people in this room are asking you to use your voice and your privilege as their leaders to act and to stand on the right side of history. One day, when your children or your grandparents ask you what you did to stop the genocide in Gaza, I want you to be able to answer that you at least called for a ceasefire, you called for an end to the violence, because we live in a country that supports another government doing occupation and ethnic cleansing. And for us to do nothing and say nothing is complicity and it is violence. And Montclair, is a beautiful, diverse city, and we value the lives of those who were killed overseas because it affects people in our community, those who have loved ones and family members out there. Please join other cities in California that have passed a ceasefire resolution and stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
All right, next speaker is Jesus Mortiel, followed by Liza Pena.
Hello, City Council. Good day to you. I am here to speak for as many as all of us here about the fact for there to be a ceasefire. I myself am not inflicted by this because I am obviously here and not over there, but even though I am not there with all the conflict, it is still clear that there must be something done. We as humans should be filled with compassion towards each other, and I do not stand with the fact that we sit here and we frolic upon ourselves and we do nothing about it. I feel as if there should be something said from everyone and everybody here to stop any conflict from going on. Free Palestine.
Thank you.
Start the ceasefire. Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker, Liza, followed by Nicole H.
Hi, my name is Lisa Pena, and I just want to start off by pointing out how many high school students we have here advocating for a permanent ceasefire. You're all lacking so much at your job that the high schoolers had to come out. These people are not even registered voters yet. They're underage and they are over here pressuring you to do your job and represent your citizens. It's a shame that they have to speak up when you will not. Additionally, I want to point out that one of your constituents mentioned that the city of Montclair spends $362,000 supporting these genocidal companies. You think that this is not a city issue and does not pertain to city politics, but the truth is that it is, because you use these taxpayers' dollars to fund this genocide and support the occupation. Additionally, you started off saying that you wanted to advocate for the end of child abuse. And like we've said, you have to advocate for all children, not just the one that you represent. You have to make sure that this genocide does not get funded. Additionally, in Israel, there is free education, there is free healthcare. Both of those things we do not have. I myself am drowning in student debt, and all these people are about to go to college and probably have the same issue. So let's not provide this funding. I know you think that this is not a city issue, but it is, because all of your constituents are begging you to adopt a ceasefire. We will come back with even more people. These people will organize even more, and we will come back in larger groups, and we're not going to give up until you sign. 78 cities in the United States have called for a ceasefire, 18 of those cities coming from California. So please join other cities such as San Francisco, Long Beach, Pomona, Santa Ana, Montebello, Oakland, Laguna Beach, Ojai, and Davis, and call for a permanent ceasefire.
All right, next is Nicole H., followed by Abraham Sturm.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here tonight to voice my support for the City of Montclair to agendize a ceasefire resolution. I want to start by acknowledging that we are all on the stolen land, the original stewards of the land being the Serrano people. The European colonial settlers came here and violently displaced and murdered the indigenous people. This was genocide and ethnic cleansing. Natives fought back and resisted, and no decent person, I'm sure none of us would support that, right? We would all speak out against it, and we understand the atrocity that happened, even though it's very swiftly covered in our history books. So for the last 6 months, we've watched a brutal genocide unfold right before all of our eyes. People all over the world are speaking out, calling for an end to the daily massacres of Palestinians, but also to an end of the Israeli occupation, which is illegal. It's a fact that Israel is an apartheid state. Nobody knew this better than Nelson Mandela, who was imprisoned for speaking out against the South African apartheid state. He said, we know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. The United States actually considered him a terrorist up until 2008, in case you're not aware. And I bring this up just to remind us to be careful of who we consider a terrorist. In our own country, freedom fighters striving for racial justice have been labeled terrorists. They've been criminalized and called dangerous and anti-patriotic just for speaking up for racial justice. Malcolm X, Dr. MLK Jr. MLK, I want to point out too, was ardently against anti-Semitism, but he also acknowledged he acknowledged support for the Palestinian people. Okay, he understood that the land did in fact belong to Palestinians. And there are so many other figures, Muhammad Ali, Maya Angelou, and all of these examples demonstrate that the struggle for justice knows no boundaries and that solidarity among oppressed peoples is essential in confronting systems of oppression. So I ask all of you to please consider this is a racial justice issue as well, and it's one that we need to speak up on as a city. So please, please, let's have a democratic discussion and let's just bring it to the agenda and have that discussion. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Abraham Sturm, followed by Violet.
My name is Avraham. I'm a Jewish American with roots through Israel, and I demand a ceasefire. Israel does not represent Jews, it represents Zionism, which is not Judaism. Zionism is a political ideology bent on the destruction and erasure of Palestine. It manipulates and degrades Judaism, but it is not faith, it is violent nationalism. Not all Zionists are Jews. There are many Christian Zionists in America, millions in fact. Zionism pretends Palestine never existed and seeks to criminalize anyone who can remember. Zionism is in direct contradiction with the core tenets of Judaism, pikuach nefesh, saving life, and tikkun olam, healing the world. The two cannot exist. Anyone arguing against a ceasefire is advocating for more death and destruction and is in violation of Judaism and in violation of human decency. Why do you think Israel can do no wrong? Does being America's friend mean Israel can't be held accountable? It's not anti-Semitic to stand up to Israel because Israel is committing genocide in my name, and as a Jewish person, I demand you shut them down. If it's anti-Semitism you wish to stand up to Israel, shut down their war machine, as President Reagan did in 1982. We can do it, we must do it, because America funds Israel's military. This is not a political opinion, this is a fact. Israel has a first world economy, it doesn't need aid. What right does Israel have to America's hard-earned tax dollars? It has no right. I ask, did America have a right to commit genocide against First Nation people? Are First Nation people hateful if they tried to fight back against colonialization? Just as America had no right, Israel has no right. The United States used Christianity to justify conquest, and Israel uses and abuses Judaism to justify the erasure of Palestine. Part of the reason we're uncomfortable confronting Israel is because it means deep down we might have to confront ourselves as a nation as to the reality of our existence. Palestine isn't next to Israel or in pieces alongside Israel in the cracks of land that Israel has yet to colonize. Palestine was first. Palestine was Israel. To create Israel, millions of Palestinians had to be violently thrown out of their homes and kicked out of their land. This is genocide 75 years running. Resistance to this violence is not hatred. It is simply within the right that any of you would expect for yourselves if it happened to you. As Americans, we're sick of hearing that there's nothing we can do. There's always money to rush billions of dollars to Israel, and there's no money for
Thank you.
to the businesses of every major American city.
Thank you.
Pass a ceasefire, divest from Israel, or you're complicit in genocide, and I follow your careers.
I'm gonna have to, sir, you're given a warning. I'm gonna ask again, you have 2 minutes to speak. If you violate that, you're gonna get a warning. If you violate again, you're gonna be asked to leave this council chambers, okay? So far, we've been good. Let's keep it that way. Next person, please.
Right. Next is Violet, followed by Julian Gonzalez.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Violet, and I stand before you today to address a pressing issue that demands our attention, the need for a ceasefire in Gaza and the West Bank. It is crucial that this small strip of land be returned to its rightful owners, the people of Palestine. In recent times, the genocide in Gaza has caused immense suffering and loss of life, impacting innocent civilians. It is heartbreaking to witness the destruction and the toll it takes on families, children, and communities. We must come together to advocate for peace and urge an immediate cessation of hostilities. A ceasefire is not just a temporary pause in violence, it is a crucial step towards finding a lasting solution. It provides an opportunity for dialogue, negotiation, and diplomacy to take place. It allows humanitarian aid to reach those in need, and it creates a space for healing, rebuilding, and reconciliation. We must remember that every life lost is a tragedy, regardless of nationality, religion, or political affiliation. It is our responsibility as global citizens to prioritize the value of human life and work towards a peaceful resolution. We cannot afford to turn a blind eye towards the suffering of our fellow human beings. Calling for a ceasefire is not a political statement, it is a call for humanity, empathy, and compassion. It is a plea to put an end to the cycle of violence and create an environment where individuals can live in peace and security. As residents of Montclair and other surrounding areas, we have the power to make a difference. By raising our voices, reaching out to our elected officials, and engaging in peaceful advocacy, we can contribute to a larger movement for peace. Let us use our collective strength and urge our government representatives to take a stand for a ceasefire in Gaza. I implore you, the members of Montclair City Council, to support the call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Let us be a beacon of hope, compassion, and peace in our community and beyond. Together, we can make a difference and bring an end to the suffering. Thank you. Free Palestine.
Thank you.
All right, next is Julian Gonzalez, followed by Rabbi Shalom Harlig.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Julian Gonzalez. I am a student of Montclair High School. You may have heard us outside before today's meeting. Those were the chants of Montclair's youth. We organized an event at Montclair Skate Park earlier to gather the youth because the last time I was here, on March 4th, you, Mayor Dutry, said that we didn't have enough people speaking about the ceasefire resolution for you to consider adding it to the agenda. Well, now we packed a room on a Monday during a school night. Like I said last time, we will gather, we will organize, and we will be heard. What we are here for today is to support a ceasefire resolution to be added to the city agenda. A lot of cities like to argue this is not a local issue. However, we are here, speaking our concerns and requesting to be heard. We are sick and tired of being ignored and not being taken seriously. Earlier, you spoke about the declaring the month of April Child Abuse Awareness Month. Every day since October 7th and beforehand, the children of Gaza have not only been severely abused, but killed. Every day we wait is more innocent deaths, and you still cannot see it because you are blinded. You are still blinded and distracted by our pleasures and privileges. But every day we wait is more dead children, more homes destroyed in hate. We ask you to not be the first, but to also be an example for future cities to consider this resolution so that we may continue our efforts on larger scales and make a difference. By choosing to do nothing, you are again failing basic human empathy. You are failing your citizens. You are failing our society. And you deserve shame. Every day we wait, every time we push this ceasefire resolution back is a missed opportunity to save lives. Even while I speak, people still suffer. People still die. People that are being harmed by our funding, by our weapons, by our neutrality. Our cries for your consideration are nothing compared to the cries of those injured children being slaughtered, murdered. Our tone will change to screams of anger and frustration. We stand before you to demand an immediate ceasefire. I know this is possible because I was there when we passed in Pomona. I know people care because I was there when we packed the Claremont City Chambers until 1 in the morning. And I was there in Chino when we held fake babies wrapped in cloth. This is not only local, it is every.
Thank you, sir.
All right, these are our final two speakers, Rabbi Shalom Harlig, and then followed by Chance Harlig.
I'm a rabbi here in the Inland Empire for the last 36 years. We help people from all kinds of backgrounds, Muslim, Christians, Catholics, Buddhists, atheists. But as a rabbi, I want to say,
Excuse me, hold on for a second. I'm going to have to ask, I'm sorry, ma'am. She can hold the baby, but can't have the baby screaming like this. And there's a flag. The person who's got the flag, you cannot block people blocking it. Bring the flag down. Make sure the person behind you are not being blocked, okay? They have a right to see. No, I'm sorry. No, it doesn't matter. You bring the flag down, or you can go stand at the back of the flag if you want. You got to show, this is decorum. It doesn't matter. This is a public meeting. Thank you, ma'am. All right, go ahead, sir.
and we help people from all kinds of backgrounds without asking them any questions. I also lived in Africa, and we helped many people over there and continue helping people over there. But since October 7th, as a rabbi, I have to say that anti-Semitism, every day I hear more and more stories, and that Jews are being hurt in different ways in the Inland Empire and throughout the whole world. So the only thing I would like to advise as a rabbi is let's keep to local and deal only with local issues. As we see, local issues is not that easy to solve, just like you heard the speaker spoke tonight before about the drug problems, youth problems. And as a rabbi, it's great work that the city is doing. And thank you very much, each city councilman, for all the work you're doing. Thank you very much to the police department. But I have to tell you that as a rabbi, I see the drug problems are growing in the area. Homelessness problem is growing in the area, and we help you for all kinds of problems. And that's why we really have to, like Claremont did, only stick to local, see what we could do tonight to help the local youth. As you see, there's a lot of youth that showed up with a lot of passion, but that's really what it's all about. We have to try to help the youth and the adults, and it says the youth of today are the leaders of today, not the leaders of tomorrow. And by us getting involved with Israel issues and other issues is only going to bring more anti-Semitism. And just like we don't speak about what happened in Syria and Iran and Iraq and all these other countries, we can't really speak about Israel because it'll just bring more and more anti-Semitism. As I see myself as a rabbi, more and more stories I hear locally every day. And not only that, if you look onto the news, you see a lot of marches already also marching with Nazi flags, and nobody thinks anything is wrong with that. And I'm very, very sorry to see that's what's happening. So thank you very much, City Councilman, for keeping the unity with all the different religions in our city. And thank you for not getting involved with Israel, and all the blessings. May God help you. May you all make all.
Thank you very much.
And then next is Chance Harlig.
To our mayor pro tem, and our council members for immediate action as they stand up for a city that does not tolerate hatred and racism. And we are so thankful and appreciative of the immediate resolution by the city to not allow comments on Zoom as they have in the past, and just put an end to the divisiveness and the hatred that was spewed. I do want to ask the city to stay local and deal with issues that the city has the ability to vote on, to take action on, and understand that resolutions that do not that we do not have as a city the power to put into play are at best symbolic, and even this symbolism has had a very negative effect and have caused divisiveness and increased hatred in our beautiful city. Additionally, this suggestion of resolutions is intentional. It is intentionally being put out with a plan to disrupt the city and not allow the city to do the work that it needs to do to protect its citizens and to help its citizens. Let us let the federal government do what they need to do, and let us let our city do what we need to do here locally. The federal government and the great United States understands that Israel is a tremendous ally of ours. May I suggest that the City Council follow Claremont's resolution in not allowing and keeping local. Thank you very much again for all your time and the wonderful work you all do here.
Thank you.
That was the last one.
The woman with the child, was she a speaker? No? Okay. All right, so we are now, want to take a 5-minute break? Let's take a 5-minute break. Take a 5-minute break. Be back at 5 minutes.
I think he said Ramadan ends
Okay,
on
I
April
understand.
9th.
We announced that started last month. That was announced last month, but you're out of order, sir. Okay. Okay, Councilmember Rue.
Okay. First of all, I concur that it was a wonderful event on Saturday. Although it was rainy and cold, we had a lot of young people going through to take pictures with the Easter Bunny. We had an Easter Bunny petting zoo with real bunnies they could pet. These are good things for our young people who quite often don't always have these opportunities. It was well done. I want to thank the Kiwanis for serving a wonderful breakfast for $5. I want to thank our Community Activities Commission for all of their help, our city staff, and everybody else who showed up to make it a very wonderful event. Yesterday was Cesar Chavez Day as well, where we honor the man who started the farm worker movement for better treatment of our farm workers, and the movement continues to this day. I also want to mention something, and it's a name somewhat forgotten to history. The gentleman's name is Lou Cotner. He died at the age of 102 in Grass Valley, California, just I think yesterday. Mr. Cotner was the last survivor of Pearl Harbor USS Arizona. He was one of only 335 survivors. 1,177 died on the USS Arizona. The total at Pearl Harbor was 2,403. Mr. Cotner served in both World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. As of his passing, there are only 19 Pearl Harbor survivors left in the United States. It's a moment in history that is now fading, and it will be up to his children, grandchildren, and the children and grandchildren of that generation to continue to tell the story. And one of the things I read about him is that he is pleased that today the U.S. and Japan are friends. He wrote a book about his life. I haven't read it, but I plan to. And so I'll keep it short tonight, just a piece of passing history that is important to all of us as Americans. Thank you.
Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the fun pleasure of attending one of Montclair's newest businesses, basically an adult healthcare and therapeutics center that just opened its doors. And it's been a year in the making. They've had some setbacks with respect to meeting some state regulations, county regulations. The city gave them clearance, and some funding issues and whatnot. but the Lee family, they're a Korean family. They do not live here in the city, but they chose to invest several $million in this new venture and business of theirs, providing therapeutic dance, arts, games, catered food, and then they have a nurse. They have, like I said, some physical therapy functions to their business here in the city. And they performed a little bit of it looked like a miniature version of the theatrical play Shen Yun that they did with the colorful dressing, garments, and the drums and the dance from little kids about 10 years old to older adults, perhaps in their 70s or 80s, I'm guessing. But nonetheless, it was great to see them finally have their doors open. They're operating here in the city of Montclair, and I welcome them. I wish them great success. They do, at the moment, do predominantly cater to Korean and the Asian community, but they would like to expand that to all. And they're trying to do an outreach to the Latin community. Now, the bulk of their clientele are for seniors, so for them it's 60 and over. So this is not for folks 30 years old needing therapeutic aid or a nurse or some type of referral from their doctor or whatnot. This is for a specific demographic in town. So I don't believe we have something of this extent, and I'm glad to see that it's here in Montclair. Again, I wish them all the best, and God bless them for helping for the betterment of others is what they've invested and their commitment and dedication is. So thank you to them. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if anybody knows the Vasquez family that on Orchard Street, or Larry Vasquez. I don't know if Xavier knows Larry Vasquez, the family, or whatnot. Larry, you do? The kid. Well, the father, he's maybe in his 70s. Larry Vasquez passed away early this morning. Lives on Orchard, or did live on Orchard Street. Went to elementary school, junior high, Belize Serrano, and of course a Montclair High School grad. He passed away. He's had some health challenges and physical limitations. His health had gotten worse over time, and he was in a wheelchair towards the latter part of his life. But I would like to see if we could adjourn in memory, please. I could get the address for the family, for the city clerk, if we could send them an adjourn in memory of one of our longtime residents that has been here for well over 50 years, as a student, as a father, as a family man, and a homeowner. My condolences to the Vasquez family, and may God comfort them at this time. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple comments, but first I have a question for Councilmember Lopez. What's the name of that new business that you refer to?
They go by MANA ADHC. It was an abbreviation. MANA ADHC. Sorry, Adult Day Health Care. Something. It's ADHC. ADHC.
And it's MANA, M-A-N-A?
M-A-N-A.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have two comments. One, I wanted to talk about our Easter event. The week before Easter, everything was planned outside, and there was lots of discussions about what we should do and discussions not with staff, but in the community. Is it still going to happen? What are we going to do? They say it's going to rain. We can't go out in the rain, even if we have umbrellas. We can't do it, and there was some angst amongst some of our Montclair residents. But one of the things that I had to tell them is, this is Montclair. We said we were going to do an event, so we're going to do an event. We do what we say we're going to do. We're not going to cancel it. We're not going to move it to another day. We're going to have it. And sure enough, I don't have a count. Perhaps Mrs. Richter, you have a count of about how many people came, but I was so impressed by what the Human Services staff did and by the number of people showed up. Do you have a preliminary count?
Well, we have our staff meeting in the morning, so we'll talk about more details then, but I can say that over 4,000 eggs were distributed throughout the games, and over 250 pancake breakfasts were served.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So thank you to you and your staff, Ms. Richter, for all the hard work to make that happen for our community.
Thank you.
And then the second thing that I need to talk about is our Shop Local program. You've probably heard me talk about it before, wherein if you shop in the city of Montclair and you send a copy of your receipt to the Montclair Chamber of Commerce to events@montclairchamber.com, then you can be entered into a raffle to win $75. It's every quarter. And I am delighted to report that today we had our very first raffle drawing. The person who won has given me permission to say her name out loud, and I think we're going to take some pictures of her, but she did give me permission to say her name and to post it. It is Stella Montoya, who is a Montclair resident for the last 6 years. And in response to the post that I put up earlier today, she responded, "We moved here 6 years ago and have been thrilled with this community and all of our lovely neighbors. I so tried to shop local, and today that paid off. Woohoo! A great way to start the weeks. Blessing upon blessings." So I have goosebumps just thinking about her. So for any of you who are interested in entering the raffle, well, number one, we need for you to shop local. This is the place where you live and work and spend your money. So since you're going to be spending money here anyway, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, wherever you go and they hand your receipt, send it to the Montclair Chamber at events@montclairchamber.com, and you too can be a winner in the Shop Local raffle. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you. I'm going to read a quote that we as city council members will recognize. "First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." And that's a quote from the German pastor Martin Niemöller. And we recognize it because Councilmember Bill Rue has read it on this dais multiple times. I'm reading it today because despite Councilmember Bill Rue reading it multiple times, I have not received a second to my request to agendize an item for a ceasefire resolution. And I'm hoping tonight that Councilmember Rue, Mayor Dutray, you've already received some heat from our high school students today, but I'm hoping that Councilmember Rue, you will second. I once again am I'm moving to agendize a discussion about a resolution calling for ceasefire in occupied territories of Gaza.
Is there a second on the motion? There's no second on the motion. You have any other further comments? Motion
Thank
fails.
you.
I want to say this, and I said it before, and you want to call us shame, we all have our feelings about what's going on in Gaza and what's going on in Israel. I have my feelings. This is not the place for me to address my issues. You know, this is the place for us to conduct the people's business in Montclair, 40,000 residents that represent us. If you want to know what my issue is, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it outside this room. You want to contact me by email, I'm available. I'm pretty sure that is available to all members here in the City Council. I'm a firm believer, and I said it last time, I pray for peace in Palestine and Israel. And what I'd like to do this evening is I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Adjourn this meeting in the memory of all those who have lost their lives in war and terror in 2023 and up to 2024, including what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Ukraine, and what's happening in countries in Africa, what happened in Russia and Moscow with the terror attack there. We're going to adjourn the meeting. Any objections to that? Anybody object to that? So we will adjourn the, go ahead.
Just with the request, if you would not want to do it tonight, I'm fine with the next council meeting just for Mr. Larry Vasquez.
You know, that's the problem here is to Carissa, I want you to understand that there's a whole lot of other people who feel the opposite direction. And trying to address that in this room is the wrong place to do it.
But we
I'm
need,
telling you right
we
now,
need to have the
Carissa, I'm telling you right now,
conversation,
Carissa,
Mayor.
I'm speaking now. I'm telling you right now, Carissa, if you want to, if you want to have a resolution, which I don't believe, this is a privy to the city council. If you want to have a resolution, you're going to have 1,000 people, all sorts.
I'm
different
okay with that.
opinion.
It's democracy.
I understand it's
Let's do it.
democracy, but that is not doing the business of the people of Montclair. We weren't hired to deal with international issues. We were hired to deal with police, fire, parks, recreation, economic development, human resources. That's what we are hired to do. Take care of potholes, trash waste. That's what we're hired to do. So I'm kind of disappointing you the third time. You know what? If you have a feeling about Gaza, I have a feeling too. I agree with you there. But you know what? Excuse me. You had your opportunity to speak. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. We're adjourned.